What if everything you've been told about belly fat, eat less, move more, count calories, is completely wrong?
Not slightly wrong, not outdated. Wrong in a way that's been making you gain weight while thinking you were doing everything right. Your doctor checks blood sugar, but blood sugar is not the problem. The real driver of belly fat after 60 is insulin, Ted, and almost nobody is testing it.
The calorie model made sense in 1960. All calories in, all calories out. A brilliant equation for a world that didn't understand hormones.
But here's what that model completely ignores. Insulin, the hormone that decides whether the food you just ate becomes energy or belly fat.
When insulin is high, your body is locked in fat storage mode. It doesn't matter how little you ate or how long you walked. I need to tell you what's actually happening inside your body after 60.
If insulin stays elevated, the fat goes in, and it stays in, especially around your abdomen, your organs, and your liver. That's visceral fat.
After 60, your insulin sensitivity drops naturally. Your cells become slightly harder to signal. Your pancreas compensates by releasing even more insulin.
And chronically elevated insulin makes you more resistant. More resistant triggers more insulin. The cycle runs silently for years, while your waist expands.
Let me tell you about Margaret, 7 years old, retired teacher from Ohio. Her blood glucose was 104 NIA. Normal range, her doctor said.
She had been eating low-calorie for 3 years. She walked 4 times a week. She could not lose a single pound of belly fat. Not 1 pound.
I ordered a fasting insulin test. Her result? 19 milliu per milliliter. The number your doctor never checks. Normal should be under 8.
Her insulin was nearly 2.5 times too high, and nobody had told her. For 3 years, Margaret's metabolism was fighting against itself.
Here's what I told Margaret. This is not your fault, and it is completely reversible. But only if we target the right mechanism. Insulin, not calories. Today, I'm going to show you the 7 things that were keeping Margaret's insulin chronically elevated per tal and what we changed to reverse it. Think of insulin like a key. When it works correctly, it unlocks your cells, glucose enters, gets burned for energy, and fat stays off your belly. But when insulin is chronically too high, the locks get worn out, the key stops fitting. Your cells stop responding. Your pancreas panics. It makes more insulin to compensate. But more insulin means one thing above all. Your body is locked in fat storage mode all day long.
This is why cutting calories alone never solves belly fat after 60. You are fighting a hormonal switch that is stuck in the wrong position.
The research shows that 88% of adults over 60 have some degree of insulin resistance. Most of them have never had their fasting insulin tested. So let's look at the 7 things driving this hormonal switch, ranked from the least obvious. Number 7, sitting still after you eat. It sounds minor, it is not minor. And it is something most people over 60 do without thinking twice about it.
When you eat, glucose floods your bloodstream. Your muscles are your body's primary glucose clearing system, but only when those muscles are actually moving and contracting. If you sit after a meal, your muscles sit idle. The glucose has nowhere to go. Your pancreas fires more insulin to force the clearance pipe, and fails.
A 10-minute walk after your largest meal clears glucose from the bloodstream by up to 30%. No gym.
Studies show that a short walk after eating reduces the post-meal insulin spike significantly, which means less fat storage signaling for the next 2 to 3 hours.
Margaret started doing exactly this after dinner. Within 3 weeks, her post-meal glucose readings dropped. Her energy levels after meals changed dramatically. That's number 7. Now, number 6 will surprise you, because it involves something most doctors actively encourage, and it's sitting on your breakfast table right now.
I'm talking about the 2 things most people over 60 eat together at breakfast, believing they're doing something good for their heart and their waistline.
I have to be clear about this. Number 6, instant oatmeal combined with orange juice. This combination was marketed as the
instant oatmeal is processed. The oat structure is broken down before it even enters your mouth. Its glycemic index sits at around 83, close to pure white sugar. Orange juice is concentrated fructose without fiber. 8 ounces contains the sugar of 3 whole oranges, all hitting your bloodstream at once. Together, oatmeal and juice create a combined glycemic load that spikes insulin dramatically within 30 minutes of waking.
That morning spike sets your insulin baseline for the entire day. By 10 a.m., you may already be in fat storage mode before you've even had lunch.
Swap instant oatmeal for steel-cut oats or eggs. Replace orange juice with the whole fruit, or nothing. That single swap alone changes your insulin morning dramatically.
Margaret eliminated this breakfast within the first week. She told me her mid-morning hunger, or the kind that drives you toward sugar, disappeared almost completely. Number 5 involves the time you eat, not what you eat. and it explains why some people gain belly fat even when their daytime diet is perfect. Number 5, eating dinner after 8 p.m. Your body operates on a metabolic clock. Insulin sensitivity follows a...
Research shows that the exact same meal eaten at 6 p.m. versus 9 p.m. produces a 30% higher insulin response at night. Your cells become resistant after sunset. When you eat late at night, food goes almost directly to fat storage because your cells are resisting insulin, and your late eating also disrupts cortisol release at night, which compounds the insulin spike. By 2 a.m., your body may still be managing glucose from that late dinner.
Moving dinner to before 7:30 p.m. and making it the smallest meal of the day is one of the most powerful shifts for reducing overnight insulin exposure. You don't need intermittent fasting or to skip meals. Just eat earlier. Let your body's metabolic clock work for you instead of against you.
Margaret was eating at 9:30 every evening. We moved dinner to 7 p.m. 2 weeks later, she slept through the night for the first time in months.
Number 4 will make you question your grocery store. It says whole on the label, and it is spiking your insulin exactly like white bread does. Number 4, commercial whole wheat bread. What you see in most supermarkets is not whole grain. It's refined flour with a small percentage of bran added back in.
Modern wheat has been bred to maximize yield. In the process, it developed extremely high amylopectin A content, a starch structure that digests faster than table sugar. The glycemic index of 2 slices of commercial whole wheat bread, around 72, a tablespoon of pure white sugar, around 65. The bread spikes insulin harder.
You switched to whole wheat because you were told it was better. It wasn't your mistake. The food industry's labeling made it nearly impossible to know the difference.
Look for bread made with whole kernel grains, sourdough with fermented bran, or rye bread with visible intact grain. These have dramatically different insulin responses.
Simple rule, if you compress the loaf and it collapses like a sponge, it's refined flour. Real whole grain bread has density. It doesn't bounce back. Number 3 is invisible. You can't see or taste it, and it's not on any food label. It may be the most underestimated driver of insulin resistance after 60. Number 3, chronic stress, not crisis stress. The constant low-grade background tension that many adults over 60 live with every day and have accepted as normal life.
But when you're chronically stressed, cortisol signals your liver to release glucose constantly, as if you're escaping danger.
There's no real danger, no running, no energy burned. Just elevated cortisol, elevated glucose, elevated insulin all day, every day.
Most doctors don't discuss this, but chronic stress explains why some of the most disciplined patients I see, people who eat perfectly, still cannot lose their belly fat.
The intervention doesn't have to be meditation. Any consistent practice that lowers cortisol works. 10 minutes of
Picker. Studies show that 10 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing twice daily can reduce cortisol markers measurably within 3 weeks.
Number 2 surprises most people. They think of it as a sleep issue, not a metabolic one, but it's directly controlling your insulin levels every single night. Number 2, sleeping less than 6 hours or sleeping poorly, waking at 3 a.m., never reaching deep sleep. The effect on your insulin the next day is immediate and measurable.
After poor sleep, your morning cortisol is 20 to 30% higher than normal. That cortisol immediately triggers glucose release from the liver before you've even eaten breakfast.
You wake up, insulin already elevated from the cortisol spike. Then you eat breakfast on top of that. Every meal after poor sleep hits a metabolism already in distress.
Research at the University of Chicago found that 4 nights of sleeping under 6 hours produced insulin resistance equivalent to gaining 20 to 30 pounds of body weight. 4 nights.
The good news? It's reversible. Restoring sleep quality reverses much of that insulin damage without 2 weeks.
Here's the link. Eating dinner too late, number 5, directly disrupts sleep quality. These 2 drivers feed each other in a nightly loop that deepens insulin resistance progressively.
Prioritize sleep above almost everything else in your metabolic protocol. 7 to 8 hours. Consistent bedtime. And now, number 1. The root driver that amplifies everything else on this list. The reason Margaret had 19 mil-IU of fasting insulin with completely normal blood sugar. Number 1 is not a food or a habit. It is a condition that has been silently building for 15 or 20 years putto, while your doctor called you metabolically normal.
Number 1. Systemic insulin resistance. The undisputed root mechanism of belly fat after 60.
When your cells stop responding to insulin, your pancreas doubles its output. Chronically elevated insulin then locks fat inside your adipose tissue.
This is the metabolic prison. Cut 1,000 calories a day.
88% of adults over 60 live with some degree of systemic insulin resistance, and most have no idea because fasting insulin is almost never in standard blood work panels.
Your annual checkup measures HbA1c and fasting glucose. These are late-stage indicators. Fasting insulin shows the
21 years of treating this has taught me one thing. Systemic insulin resistance is highly reversible. but only when you target it directly, not indirectly through calorie counting. Now let me tell you what she actually did. And this brings us to what Margaret actually did and what you can start doing tomorrow. The single most powerful intervention for systemic insulin resistance, a 10-minute walk after your largest meal, every day.
Muscle contraction is insulin independent. When you walk, your muscles pull glucose from the bloodstream directly, without waiting for insulin. That 10-minute post-meal walk reduces the insulin spike of your meal by up to 35%. Done consistently, it begins to rebuild.
Combined with eliminating the morning spike from oatmeal and juice, moving dinner earlier, and protecting your sleep. Harr. Margaret followed this protocol for 8 weeks. No medication added, no extreme dietary restriction.
At week 8, her fasting insulin dropped from 9 to 7 MEU per milliliter, within optimal range. Her belly circumference.
She had not changed her calorie intake dramatically. She had not joined a gym. She had targeted the correct driver, insulin, and her metabolism had responded accordingly. Margaret said in week 8, "For the first time in years, I feel like my body is working with me, not against me." That is what targeting the right mechanism does. Why are you hearing this only now, after 60 years? Why didn't your doctor test your fasting insulin 10 or 20 years ago? There is an answer, and it matters.
The standard of care for metabolic health was built around glucose, because glucose was measurable first. Insulin assays became...
Your doctor is not your enemy. They work within a system built on outdated biomarkers. Fasting insulin, but you now know which test to ask for. Walk into your next appointment and request a fasting insulin panel. That single conversation with your physician changes your entire metabolic picture.
Ask for fasting insulin. Optimal range, under 5 UIU per milliliter. Acceptable, under 8. Above.
You can also calculate something called HOMA-IR using your fasting glucose and fasting insulin together. Now let me give you the complete protocol, exactly what I gave Margaret. 7 specific actions, each targeting a different point in the insulin resistance cycle.
Step 1. Lead breakfast with protein. 2 eggs, unsweetened Greek yogurt, or smoked salmon. Protein blunts the morning insulin response and keeps you... Step 2. Walk 10 minutes after your largest meal. Not before, after. This is the most well-documented post-meal Step 3. Finish dinner by 7, set an alarm if needed. This aligns your eating with peak insulin.
Step 4. Protect your sleep. If staying asleep is difficult, discuss magnesium glycinate with your physician.
Step 5. Consider berberine as a metabolic support supplement, fibro. Always in conversation with your physician first. Berberine activates.
Step 6. Eat vegetables first, protein second, carbohydrates last. Hound at every...
Step 7. Request a fasting insulin panel at your next appointment. If your result is above 8 mIU per milliliter, discuss a targeted intervention plan directly with your physician. 7 steps. 0 prescriptions required to start, each targeting a specific node in the insulin resistance cycle. The fact that you're still watching, Harr, that you stayed through this entire explanation time, tells me you're serious about understanding what's actually happening inside your body. That matters. You may feel overwhelmed. My intention has never been to frighten you. I am here to give you the correct map how, because the one most people have been following leads nowhere. You don't have to implement everything tomorrow. Start with one thing, the 10-minute walk after dinner. Just that, one change. Let your body show you it still responds. In the next video, 3 foods labeled heart healthy that spike insulin harder than candy, including one that has been on every recommended breakfast list for the last 30 years. If this channel is giving you what your 15-minute appointment never did, subscribe. We are just getting started on what insulin is actually doing to your body after 60. If someone you love has been fighting belly fat for years without results, share this video with them. This information may be exactly what they've been missing. Type insulin in the comments if you've never had this test ordered. I want to know how many of you have been measuring the wrong number your entire metabolic life. Take care of your insulin, take care of your metabolism, and I sincerely wish you a long, strong, and clear-headed life. See you in the next one.